So here's what I want to talk to you guys about today. Hang on to your hats and glasses, because even right when you want to relax, you know what I'm going to say, right? I'm a coach. What do you think I'm going to say to you? I'm going to say, oh my God, that's awesome. What's next? And you're going to go, but Sarah, please, can we just like eat chocolate and sit on the couch and relax and like just celebrate and get drunk and stuff? Sure, you can do that. And I know that goes for both sides. Like, oh my gosh, whew, huge hill climbed. We're coming down the other side of a huge hill, right? And it's like, can't we just relax? And the answer is, of course you can. Of course you can. And do you want to? That's going to be my question for you guys today, because so many people are going to say, but Sarah, I just want to just not do anything. I know, and with the holidays coming up, I understand. And just please know I have a lot of empathy for that. But my job is to help you be the best version of you that you can possibly be. So at a time after, you guys, I think there's a couple things, at least those of us in the United States, yes, I'm talking to you, what we want to notice is, as much as we can, all of the positives, okay? Because then we can take an inventory. So here's what you want to do when there's a what next moment in your life. We have a big one going on sort of together. What's next? Oh my gosh, it's like this huge hill's we walked all the way up of it and we're coming down the other side. Okay, awesome. So what's next? So the good that I want us to just talk about just briefly, because I don't want to spend the whole time in Coffee with Coach. I know everybody wants to talk about it, but I don't want to spend the whole time just talking about the election. That being said, I do want to talk about what's positive. What's positive is I think we have a better understanding of where we stand. Like, oh my gosh, the two most voted on candidates in the history of our country. I could cry just saying that, because it tells me people took it seriously enough to go use their voices. And in a country that's been complacent about that in the past, I think that's a beautiful thing. And I think that's something that we can all celebrate. And both candidates should be really proud. Like, oh my gosh, never before have this many people turned out in the middle of a global pandemic. You guys, I think that shows us how strong we are, how committed we are, how much we care. And I think that's the other beautiful thing that came out. And then I'm going to flip this over to your life and your business in just a second, okay? Because I want you to remember, we're not compartmentalized. So as I talk about this, I want you to pull it into your life for you as an individual person, okay? So the positive that comes out of that is I think we can see, while we may not agree on the best way to get there, I think we agree that our country matters and that we matter to each other. We do not agree on how to get there. We don't always agree on policy. We don't always agree on social norms. But as a people, I see that as a massive positive, because now we've got something to work with. And it's going to be hard. And it's going to take a lot of patience. It's going to take a lot of time. And I don't think there's some magical fix, but I do see the beauty in it. And I always tell you guys, like, let's say you try something new in your business, or you try to heal a relationship. Where are my monthly students? We talked about that last month, right? Like, oh my gosh, get in there and deal with your relationships that are tough, right? Yeah. We had some tough conversations going on last week, but they were valuable. And when you have a tough conversation like that, what do you look for? You look for the gold. You look for the gold in there, and I see a lot of gold in here. Doesn't mean it's going to be easy to get to it, but there's a lot of gold in here. And I think that's part of what we're seeing in celebrations. I think it's even what we're seeing in the heartache is, wow, somebody's heartbroken. Okay, so we've all got to appreciate and acknowledge we know what both sides feel like. And I think it's time for us to sort of acknowledge that as humans, and let's start to see where we can come to some sort of agreement on certain things. And then from there, we'll have to fight out, maybe the best ways to do stuff, but that's okay. And that leads me to your business and your life. It's not always going to be golden. It's not going to be easy to find the gold. It's not always going to be the first time you try something, it's going to work. That's not how life is. So the question is always, what's next? Are you going to keep trying? Are you going to give up? Are you going to tweak it a little bit? Or are you going to throw the whole thing out? Being an entrepreneur, especially as a woman, is not easy. And the tendency is to go, well, it didn't work. I guess I suck. Well, it didn't work. I guess nobody cares. I get it. Like, that's really easy to do. I don't mean easy like it's the easy choice. I mean, it's easy to choose that. It's easy to look at a situation in front of you and go, see, So let's say you try something and it works. Your question is, what's next? Jed Bartlett, thank you. If it is that you failed, you tried something new and you failed at it, the question is, what's next? So how do you actually do that? Because I'm not into frou-frou like memes and like feel-good things you post with a pretty picture and then you have no idea what that means or how to actually implement it. So let's look at how we actually implement that question, what's next? One of the first things you want to do is go back and look for the gold. Go back and say, all right, this sucked. Let's say it was a failure, okay? You go back, you go, this sucked. Oh my God, right? You're looking at it. What you want to look at is obviously, what did you learn? And the second thing is, what did work? And that's where the gold starts to come in, right? So what did work? What did work? I'm going to show you guys a personal example in just a second, okay? So what worked? And then the next question is, what parts of the things that worked do I want to continue? And what parts of the things that didn't work do I want to let go of or tweak and change? And these are constant questions you can ask yourself over and over and over. You guys, this is a daily basis if you want it to be. You want to be the best version of yourself, you do this every day. I always tell you guys, Coffee with Coach, how do we start the day? How do I want to feel? How do I want to feel when my head hits the pillow tonight? That's a way to set up your day for success because you're going after what's most important to you for that specific day. But then once your head hits the pillow, are you going back and saying, okay, what worked? What didn't work? Why? What can I do better? What can I do differently? Do you see? It's like on a daily basis, you guys, nobody's perfect and nobody's ever done. It's like I think inside of entrepreneurship and life in general, there's this myth that like you're gonna be done. Like there's gonna come a point in your life where you're done. You're cooked, all done, bye. And I don't know how that happened. I don't know if it happened in kindergarten when we were like, we got the check mark for our homework. I don't know what it was, or maybe finals in college. I don't know where we got this idea that we're done. Now, you can have two responses to that I'm aware of. One is, oh crap, I'm tired. Give me my bonbons and let me put my feet up, which you're allowed to do after a huge success or a huge failure to just sort of recoup for about an hour or two. If it was really huge, maybe a weekend, okay? But for the most part, life is still happening. They use this poem in 4 Weddings and a Funeral, where it's basically what the person mourning is saying is, I'm devastated. How is life still happening? How? You guys ever lost somebody you love? Right? And it's like, oh gosh, I'm so, like, I might cry because I do, but like, it's like that. How's everybody getting up in the morning? Like, you know that feeling like that. How did the world not stop? It doesn't. It never does. Ever. So whether we're celebrating something huge or we're devastated over a massive loss, the world doesn't stop, you guys. And it's really the women. You know how I feel about women right now. Like, this is our time. This is our time to stand up and go, hey, I've got these talents. I've got these experiences. I've got this level of expertise. I'm here. Let's go. That's where you need to be showing up right now. Because even though everybody's feeling some sense of relief, both sides, it's like, okay, so we climbed that huge hill. Okay, here we are. What's next? It's not going to stop. And it's not to exhaust you. It's actually to ignite you into like, oh yeah, that's right. This is how this goes. This is not an obstacle that what next is the question. This is a party that what next is the question. Because if you just failed at something, now you get to go try again. That's exciting. It's hard and it's a little scary, but it's exciting. And then if you just had a huge success, it's like, oh my gosh, I have this for life now. I have this massive win, this success for life that I can look back on and return to ask myself what worked. And you guys, that is honestly not taking advantage of that moment after you've done something that you were successful at. That is the biggest source of loss, in my oh so humble opinion, for most business owners. They get excited, they go, good, work's done, and then what happens? The business starts to tank because they relaxed. And it's not like you can't relax. I don't mean it like that, but you've got to consistently look at, okay, what worked? Do it again. Okay, what worked? Do it again. Okay, what worked? Do it again. Oh, it didn't work this time. Oh, ho, ho. Okay, now we got something to dig on. All right, let's try that. Nope, that part didn't work. Okay, this part of it's working. This part isn't. And so everybody's like, Sarah, but I did something big. I won. I had this huge success. I'm like, that is awesome. Celebrate it. What's next? What worked? What didn't work? How can you make it even better? How can you automate it? How can you systematize it? How can you keep it going? And how can you keep your eye on it so that you continue to grow and expand and stay where you are? And eventually, you guys know, like to make the airplane take off, it's a lot of energy. It's a lot of energy gets expended, but once it's up there, you just need to maintain it. If you don't ask what's next, you won't know. You won't know what will have it be maintained. You don't know what works in your business or in your life. Hope that makes sense. All right, I see some comments coming in. Good morning, happy Monday. You're very concerned that New Jersey is gonna get shut down again. I know, gotta keep moving forward anyway. That's right, and it might. So now we're back to the parts that we can't control, right? So what we wanna look for as citizens, right? As people in our states, in our individual states that may or may not have to shut down given the massive increase in numbers, right? That's like a real thing. So in looking at that, what we want to note as human beings is what's worked. What has worked? So we know, right, what we need to do as individual people to have it work. And that's where we need to be looking because that's our responsibility in it, right? So while we can't control what local governments will do or even federal government will do, what we can control is our behavior, right? So that's really where we want to look, and it's very similar. So we could consider that a failure or an obstacle, right? So let's say it happens. Let's go there. Let's go worst case and work it out. And all of a sudden you'll realize you'll be fine. Go there. It's okay. Go into your fears because you guys, if you go into your fears, they disappear. And I know that seems so counterintuitive, but they do. You know, I mean, I work with women all the time who are super jealous, let's say, right? They're like, my husband's gonna cheat, my husband's gonna cheat. I'm like, okay, so we'll say he does. What are you gonna do? What's gonna happen? Plan it out now. And all of a sudden, well, it's not what we want, right? It's not desirable. All of a sudden we go, well, I would deal with it. And I'd get up every day and yeah, that's correct. So how can you get up every day and deal with it to the best of your ability? And how can you get up every day and deal with it and bring the best of yourself to the situation? And that's the same whether we all have to go back into quarantine or if we're not happy with the election results or we are happy with the election results. Same thing happens. You try a new ad campaign and it works or it doesn't work. You guys, it's all the same mechanism. This is why I'm working so hard with all of you to make this a skill. This is a skill you need to develop. And it's the skill of resiliency. It's the skill of grit. Guys know, if you haven't picked it up yet, please do. How Children Succeed is the name of the book. If you haven't read it yet, go pick it up. It will absolutely blow your mind, first of all, but it'll inspire you. There are characteristics and skills we can learn and we can develop. And I just will never, ever, ever relate to any of you like you can't handle what life is throwing at us. I just won't relate to you that way. I don't see you that way. Everything is learnable. I love Marie Forleo's everything is figure-outable. That is just brilliant because it's true. There's nothing the world can throw at you that you can't handle. And the skill of resiliency and the skill of grit is something you can learn, and that's what we're working on right now. What worked? What didn't work? What can I do better? What do I need to tweak? What do I need to toss out? And if you can consistently ask yourself those questions, you'll get through anything. Oh, and by the way, you're developing yourself as you go, which is huge. Because then as more problems come your way, if you make yourself bigger than the problem in front of you consistently, pretty soon problems that used to take you out are what you do before breakfast on Tuesdays. Because you've grown yourself. And you've seen that. I'm sure you've seen that in other people you follow or other entrepreneurs. Like all of a sudden they're just handling stuff because it's what they do. But when they were learning how to do it, it felt huge and intimidating and really hard. But you guys have seen that in your own lives. Whenever this comes up, I always say to people, watch a 5-year-old as they watch an adult tie their sneakers. They're like, oh my gosh, how do they do it? That's amazing, right? I mean, they're like baffled Meanwhile, you do it 45 times a day probably, and you don't even notice. Okay, 45 times a week. But you don't even notice. You're boom, and you walk out the door. But for a kid who hasn't learned how to do that yet, it's like miraculous. The same's for you. You try something the first time, it doesn't work. Okay, you're tying your shoe, you're figuring it out. The next time it'll be a little bit faster. Next time a little bit faster. But the only way for you to learn it is to try it and fail. Once in a blue moon, people get lucky and the first time they try it, it's successful. But that is rare and it is not the norm. I hope that lands. All right, ladies, so that's the goal for this week, actually. Consistently ask what's next. And don't, please, for the love of all things, don't be surprised that there is a what's next. If you're done, you're dead. It's never gonna stop. And so I think somewhere along the line, like I said, it might have been finals. I don't know what it was, where we've got this idea that, oh, later I'll relax, or later it'll be fine, or I just have to get this one thing done and then I'm done. No. And by the way, I'm talking to myself as much as I'm talking to you guys. I do this every year around the holidays. Okay, I just have to get this one thing done and then I'll be done. And then I'm like, oh no, forgot about, okay, I gotta get that thing done. And then by the time I'm done, I have to take it all back down. We're never done. It just doesn't happen that way. And we all need to remind each other of that so that we're, one, not surprised by it, because then we waste time and energy being surprised. And then two, that we learn from it consistently so that as the next things happen, we're just ready to go. So let me try to sum up really about what's next and what that means. So the phrase what's next and what that actually means. When I say to you, what's next, which again has been turned into a meme and is not very helpful. It's nice, but it's not very helpful. Let's talk about the gritty. What worked? What didn't work? What did I learn? What do I need to tweak? And what do I need to throw out? Okay? Those are the big five. Now, if you're feeling down, let's say you did try something new and it totally failed. Maybe you launched a new offer, crickets. Maybe you tried a new hire and you had to fire them. Maybe you tried to have a tough conversations like the monthly students, go girls, ladies. Like maybe you tried to have a tough conversation, it didn't go well, right? So let's say you're in that moment of WTF, man. Like seriously, is this ever gonna work? Am I ever gonna get this right? Am I ever gonna be okay with this? Am I ever gonna be done, right? You get that feeling. So what's next is you give yourself some freaking credit. And this is where we know as women, we do not thrive. We don't tend to give ourselves the biggest amount of credit, right? So give yourself credit. You freaking tried. You tried. You went for it. You deserve some credit there. Number two, where do you need to add new skills? So I promise you guys I'd tell you what's going on with me. So we have right now, I think we have 4 different ad campaigns running, okay? And we are killing it. The ads are just killing it so good. Opt-in rates, off the chart. Like I've never had opt-in rates this great. And then there's an offer to book a call, not so great. So I know what's working, ads, awesome. Landing page, fantastic. I have to re-record the offer for a call. That's the way it goes, over and over and over, and we will do it until we get it right. We talk to experts, which is another thing I'll get to you guys in a second. We rewrite stuff. We try it a different way. We put ourselves in the customer's shoes, or we put ourselves in the shoes of the other person having a problem, right? The other person that we're trying to have a conversation with. That's where we go. We look at that and we go, okay, what's going on over there that I don't know about? United States, that's our job right now. What's going on over there that I don't know about? It's time to get curious, okay? So that's my current personal example, but you can see how quickly you can extrapolate that out into your life and other aspects of your business. So the skill we need to beef up on here, we have 4 people working on this with me, is that specific offer. We gotta beef up on that. We gotta figure that out. We gotta put ourselves in the customer's shoes better. We gotta understand things better. Awesome, let's go. Or we can do what most people do, honestly, right? Those who are successful in business will do things other people are not willing to do. And what most people are not willing to do is to record something like that 15 times until it gets right. I'm willing to do that. I would bet most of you are too. But there are other people after 1 or 2, they'll be like, bag it. All these like overnight successes, try 20. Try 35, try 40, try 50. After 50 times of trying, finally they're an overnight success. That's the truth. That's the truth. And I want you guys to get profoundly related to that, okay? But that leads me to the next thing you need to do. So you're going to give yourself some credit, right? And you're going to go back and you're going to look at what you need to tweak, what you need to change, what's working, what's not. Then I want you to look at the skills that you need to develop, right? Got to get better at that last pitch. Great, no problem. Then the next thing is you need to ask for help. And this is another one I think a lot of women have a hard time with because we're so dang self-sufficient. Like, we love what we do. We're so smart. We got it all handled. I don't want anyone to think I can't do the dishes and the laundry and launch a business and pay my house and take care of my kids. Oh, and do perfect lunches. Oh, and by the way, I look great all the time. Okay? Not doing that. Ask for help. Okay? That's the only way you're going to succeed because somebody else, one, it's either their expertise, right? That's what people come to you for is your expertise. So go to other people for their expertise. Like honor the gifts other people have, you guys. Other people have those gifts. They're not there to scam you. They're not there to trick you. It's because they have that expertise. Go get it. Turn it over. Like stop spreading yourself so thin. Okay? And then the last thing I want you to do after you've looked at the skills you need to develop and you've asked for help is my favorite. And I'll say this to you guys till the cows come home. Yes, I am from Utah. That is a phrase. So I will say that over and over, which is, if it were 6 months from now or even a year from now or you were in your deepest moment of success, what would that woman, that version of you who's standing in her moment of success, what would she tell you to do next? That is what's next actually means. Okay? So I hope that was some concrete tools for you guys today to actually take into your life this week especially, because there will always be a what's next. So this week especially, I want you to dive in and see what's going on. What can you do better? What are you learning? What skills do you not have yet? And who do you need to ask for help? Because none of us can do all of this alone. None of us. It's insane to try, so please don't. All right, so with that, we have a couple minutes left. I do want to open it up to questions. Asking for help is an area that I have finally gotten better at. It's taken time. I hear you on that one, sister. It is hard. I think especially for women, especially when you're smart and you're fast and you learn stuff and for most of us, this is me anyway, you love to be in control. And so turning over and asking for help is super duper tough because you're like, they're not going to do it like I do it. Yeah. Those of you in the monthly group, you know what we're talking about, right? You have your special gift about how to turn things over. So the first problem is they're not going to do it the way I do it. Yeah. That's like a big release for a lot of us is relinquishing that control in that area. Yeah. Asking for help has been huge for me lately. It's so important and I appreciate that advice, Sarah. I'm so glad. As you know, right, it can really lift burdens off of us, right? It's like, oh, whew, I don't have to do all of that. Oh my God, that's huge, right? Like it's really one of those moments. Yeah. And relying on the expertise of other women, right? And that's paying it forward, which is what it's delicious all the way around. Everybody gets to exercise their talents, their experience, and their expertise and help each other. And then everybody succeeds more. It's just brilliant. Excellent Monday message about perseverance and in keeping us going on a Monday. I'm glad you think so. I'm really happy. I really wanted to give you guys a what's next message today because no matter what side you fell on, there's like okay, we're done feeling, and we're not. For some people, it's just beginning. And for others, it's a massive reckoning and healing. And we've got to deal with that, honestly. And you guys, I really do believe it's time to get curious. By the way, if you did not see Chappelle's opening for Saturday Night Live, I really recommend you go watch that. It was exquisite. Very much in line with what I would have told you guys too. I didn't say it nearly as well as he did, but amazing, amazing. And that's the message for all of us to be hearing right now. It was beautiful. Sometimes I don't know how to ask for help, how to explain what I'm looking for and what I need for your work in advocacy, because it can be hard to explain. That's legitimate, and that's your job. That's my direct answer to you is it is your job. Just like in marketing, right? It's my job too, and I'm failing at it in one area right now too, right? There's a constant evolution here and a learning. So when I say that's your job to you, no, I say it to myself too. Like this is our job, is to get really good at communicating what we do and where we need help, both. And so feel free to practice. You have this group to practice in, you have other groups to practice in. Just practice, say, hey guys, I think this is what I need. Does that, you know, my favorite thing is, does that land? I just love that visual. It's like, did that go in your brain and land there? Like, I love that visual, but it's like, did that land for you? Like, did that go in? And just ask people. Sometimes when we're really close to our own work, we can tend to accidentally use jargon or say things in a way that makes common sense to us, like makes total sense to us, but does it make sense to other people? So such a great question. My honest response to you is, it's your job. This is one of those moments to look at it and go, okay, they got that piece, but they didn't get that piece. Or I think what I wanted to say was this, but they got that. Okay. And your job, it sounds silly. You're like, oh my gosh, I have to examine that. And my answer is, yeah, you do. Like, really get in there and go, oh my gosh, like I honestly have found in this work that I'm doing right now, as much as changing 3 words in a video script altered the amount of time people watched. 3 words. Like, it can get that granular. And that's our job, is to know that and understand that and then learn how to do it properly.